Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the verdict is in the civil trial between former President Donald Trump and journalist E. Jean Carroll.
Plus, today is National Fentanyl Awareness Day. How one group is fighting the spread of deadly drugs across the region.
Plus, typical summer weather looks to return to the mountains. All those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley.
And I'm Olivia Calfee.
After less than 3 hours of deliberations, the verdict is in writer E. Jean Carroll's civil battery and defamation lawsuit against former President Donald Trump, who is running for office again in 2024.
CBS's Michael George reports from New York.
A New York jury found former President Donald Trump liable in the civil lawsuit brought by E. Jean Carroll, accusing him of battery and defamation.
For E. Jean Carroll, the victory really is the conclusion. The victory is a jury saying unanimously, we think there was defamation and we think that there was sexual battery.
The 79-year-old writer sued the former president last November, alleging he raped her in a department store dressing room in the mid-1990s, and then defamed her by denying it ever happened.
It's the most ridiculous, disgusting story. It was just made up.
Trump did not take the stand and didn't appear at the trial. Jurors did watch the former president's videotape deposition.
And I said it, and I say it with as much respect as I can, but she is not my type.
Jurors were also shown the Access Hollywood tape made public just before the 2016 election.
You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the
Carroll's attorneys painted the alleged attack as part of a pattern of behavior and called other Trump accusers to the stand.
What they said is it's not even a he said, she said. It's a she said, and then she said, and then she said, and a number of people painting a very consistent story on one side. And then there is the other side where the former president said, I didn't do it.
Attorneys for Trump argued Carroll was trying to profit from a false story and questioned her memory. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The jury awarded Carroll about $5 million in damages. After the verdict, Trump said on social media he had no idea who the woman was and that the verdict is a disgrace.
Well, we had showers and storms earlier this morning, but thankfully we are getting a break as we go into this evening. Here's a live look right now from Buffalo Mountain. Clouds do continue, but we are drying out across the mountains right now. That current temperature is 75 degrees. Most of us in the 70s right now. 73 in Somerset, 74 for London, also in Manchester and Clay County, 70 over in Pikeville, and 69 for Clintwood, up to 80 at this hour over in Bell County and Middlesboro. So we are warm in some places right now. The good news, we are dry, and that will continue as we go into this evening. So if you have any plans, maybe to have dinner outdoors, we stay dry under a partly cloudy sky. Those temperatures falling from the lower 70s into the upper 60s as we go into tonight. But we are tracking more rain chances by Friday, also into Mother's Day weekend. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Kentucky is getting $1.6 million from a settlement with TurboTax. The company was sued for tricking people into paying for tax services that should have been free. The Attorney General's office says more than 54,000 Kentuckians will get some of the settlement. If you qualify, the Attorney General says you'll get an email. Checks will arrive later this month.
Today is National Fentanyl Awareness Day. Police and health professionals say the scary thing is a lot of people who take the illegal and illicit drugs do not even know fentanyl is in them. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke with a drug resistance and education group about the problem in southern Kentucky.
Operation Unite has seen a lot of bad stuff over the years that they've been in existence. Right now, they say enemy number one is fentanyl. They say that it's killing a lot of young people, 18 to 45, and many times young people don't even know that they're using it.
And so on Fentanyl Awareness Day, I think we just need to do, recommit that we're going to make people more aware. This is the most dangerous time in history to be using illicit drugs.
People taking prescription drugs and getting them online could also be getting something unexpected and deadly. Operation Unite officials say fentanyl is often in substances such as OxyContin or Percocet that's ordered online. It takes very little to kill a person, as seen in this picture provided by the DEA to Unite. The amount on the pencil lead is enough to kill a person.
Because that's how it is killing. The cartels are putting fentanyl, they're making fake prescription pills, or what we call pressed pills.
Police and CDC figures show that the number of teenagers overdosing from drugs has tripled over the last 2 years. But many of these same teenagers say that they didn't even realize that prescription drugs contain fentanyl. Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
All right, thank you, Phil. Operation Unite officials say fentanyl is being found in some vaping products that young people are finding ways to acquire.
As the COVID-19 public emergency approaches its end, President Biden is lifting some of the vaccine mandates he ordered. Today, the president ended the order requiring federal workers be vaccinated. He also revoked the international air travel COVID-19 vaccine requirement. He said this is based on the latest guidance from public health experts, but the president also stressed that vaccinations are still an important tool for keeping people safe. This move comes just days before the COVID-19 public health emergency expires.
The U.S. military post named after a Confederate general is being renamed after the Army's first Hispanic four-star general. Fort Hood is being redesignated Fort Cavazos in honor of General Richard Edward Cavazos. Cavazos was born in Texas to Mexican-American parents, served in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and became a four-star general in 1982. He retired from the Army in 1984 after 33 years of service and died in 2017. Fort Hood, long plagued by a series of suicides, homicides, and fatal accidents, is one of 9 Army installations being redesignated to remove Confederate names from military bases.
A new poll finds Americans are not confident its leaders can lead the economy in the right direction. A new Gallup survey claims nearly half of Americans have almost no confidence in President Biden's ability to do or recommend the right thing for the economy. Just 35% of people have a great deal or fair amount of confidence in him. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell does not fare any better. Only 36% of Americans have confidence in him on the economy, with 28% saying they have almost no confidence. And when it comes to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, just 37% have a great deal or fair amount of confidence in her. This comes as the U.S. heads toward a looming debt ceiling crisis, in addition to 2 years of high inflation.
Law enforcement officials say the gunman behind this past weekend's deadly mall shooting in Allen, Texas, had 8 weapons on him at the time of the attack. All were purchased legally, and he had no criminal history.
8 people were killed, including 3 members of one family. CBS's Omar Villafranca reports from Allen, Texas.
Law enforcement officials in Texas revealed details of the investigation into Saturday's deadly mall shooting.
The FBI is currently analyzing electronic devices and digital media connected to the suspect.
Internet searches linked the gunman, 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, to far-right and white supremacist ideology.
We do know that he had neo-Nazi ideation. He had patches, he had tattoos.
Authorities say the shooter worked for 3 security companies between 2016 and 2020, where he received firearms training and passed a background check.
The big question that we're dealing with right now is, what's his motive? Why did he do this? Well, the big question is, we don't know.
At the mall, the memorial for the shooting victims is growing. Among those killed, 3 members of the Cho family, Mom Cindy, Dad Q, and their 3-year-old son, James. Their 6-year-old son, William, was wounded. Also killed, 4th grader Daniela Mendoza and her younger sister, Sophia.
Just devastated. It hits really, really close to home.
This mom says the sisters attended the same gymnastics school as her daughter.
Everyone gets along and we love each other, so just getting that email was really sad.
The community is wearing yellow in their memory. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Allen, Texas.
A 20-year-old security guard, a 26-year-old engineer, and a 32-year-old man were also killed in that attack. 6 others remain hospitalized.